Hey, this is Carlos Cavallo. Welcome back, and a little bit of dating advice from the Dating Advice Guru at datingadviceguru.com. You ever been in a situation where you met someone who you thought was awesome, but you became maybe unpleasantly surprised afterwards? Maybe it turned out you didn't share the same values, or perhaps you discovered one of the red flags, like maybe he was a player who wasn't really into monogamous relationships at all. And to complicate things further, you found out about it just too late. So now you feel stuck with this guy because you don't know how to remove yourself from the relationship and from the situation. Well, a lot of women have found themselves in this predicament. And most of the time, it's anything but easy to get out of it. Unfortunately, it just comes with the territory when you're dating, right? At some point in your dating life, you're eventually going to meet someone who won't exactly be, let's just say, on the level with you. From a general standpoint, it's part of human nature to put a little PR spin on ourselves. Someone once said it's impossible not to talk about yourself without embellishing just the tiniest bit. And just think about your last job interview. Sure, you may be the best person for that marketing position, but you really don't have to volunteer the fact that your credit score isn't so great, or that you cried in the bathroom a few times when your last boss got too critical of you. I mean, those things don't make you a bad person. If you've got your professional life under control in spite of those things, it doesn't matter in the big picture. So let's talk about playing the game. In the same way, some men are going to keep select details under wraps until they're comfortable enough to share them later on. Maybe a guy is going to hold off telling you that his last girlfriend was a total control freak and that he's still apprehensive about getting back into dating. Fair enough, right? I'd like to think that at some level, all of us want to be this ideal version of ourselves to get approval from others. Then again, there's a difference between embellishment and outright trickery. As much as we'd like to wish otherwise, there are some people out there who are going to lead you down this whole other path and take advantage of your kindness. It's possible to meet a guy with a key aspect of his personality that could seriously determine the future of your relationship. All right? And I don't mean this in a good way. Of course, there are some guys who simply withhold certain information, even if they don't have a harmful agenda. Even so, it could turn into one of those scenarios where you're eventually going to have to call it quits because you both wanted different things. Whatever the case may be, it's still in your best interest to quickly figure out if you should stick with a guy or pack up and leave as soon as possible. So, getting to the heart of it. So, a lot of women face this challenge of trying to figure out their guy without alarming him in any way. Okay? It's quite the tightrope to walk. On one hand, you want to uncover all those basic attributes to know right away if you're a good match. But at the same time, you'll have to be smart about it because you don't want him thinking that you're probing or you're being, putting him under the heat lamp. Some guys might even get defensive and feel threatened. Even if he has good intentions, it can spook him and make him shift gears. Guys can be kind of skittish like that. Aside from that, though, you have those other men who are, in fact, up to no good. And if he gets that vibe that you're trying to find out about him or trying to figure him out, he can turn the tables and cover his tracks. So you'll fall into that conundrum wherein your guy isn't going to reveal his true intentions. It's just the nature of humans. As a result, you'll feel sucker punched when the cold, hard truth rears its ugly head in the distant future. The good news is that there is a way to prevent these problems from happening to you in the first place. This way, you'll be in a better position to make your next move. Approaching with caution. As you might guess, you're not going to get anywhere by using just straightforward questions. So, I've been cheated on before. I hope you don't turn out like that last guy. We don't have to worry about that, right? Or, I've had a bad experience dating a control freak. Are you going to get into a fight with me because I didn't let you know where I was? Or I really can't see myself with anyone who didn't at least consider the possibility of a long-term relationship. Would you agree with that? Or are you more of a ladies' man or a player? Now, in the real world, none of those questions is going to bring you closer to the truth, right? He's not going to... The simple fact is that we just don't answer stuff like that directly. You have to go about it a little bit indirectly. If you ask those things like that, you're going to set off alarms in his head. He'll practically be forced to lie through his teeth just to please you, right? You're kind of forcing him to lie by asking it in that way, quite honestly. We just don't work like that. You need to find a way around the stuff you want to learn about and come in from a different angle. Instead of asking him point blank, act like you're doing kind of a survey for men's general opinions on something you're curious about. Present him a situation, like something that happened to you or someone you know, and then get him to chime in. Towards the end, you slip in a little casual, so what would other guys think about that? By building up your question first, he'll find less of a reason to be defensive. Also, asking what other men might say will keep him from feeling on the spot, right? He's going to answer from, well, let's just say a better perspective. Remember, you're just wondering how guys as a whole would react to a certain situation. You're not actually asking him what he thinks. That's what's wonderfully indirect and effective about this. The more you make it relaxed, easygoing conversation, the less it will come off as an interrogation. Dropping the question. For example, maybe you're wondering how important looks are to him. Is your date a perfectionist with women's appearances, or does he value personality more? To pick his brain in the right way, you can introduce the topic a little bit like this. My friend at work mentioned a book on dating that said that most men are worried that their wives or girlfriends are going to stop taking care of themselves once they're in a couple. I wouldn't say I'm one of those women, but I was really wondering if a lot of guys really thought that way. Have your friends talked about stuff like that? And he might say something like, my buddy who just got married said he was worried that he'd lose his freedom later on, but he didn't say anything about his wife letting herself go. I'd say most guys are more concerned about being able to do the stuff they love, even if they're in a relationship. They need their freedom. Looks in the long run, they're important, sure, but not as much as having your freedom. So that tells you, even if he didn't say what he actually thought himself, that most men wouldn't weigh appearances that much compared to other things, such as not feeling crowded or being kind of crushed down in a relationship. From here, you can read between the lines and find out what makes him tick. The best part about asking him this way is that he won't be pressured to give you the version of the truth that you want to hear. Now, you might be thinking, isn't it a little shifty to deal with him in this way? Don't worry. All you're really doing is making sure that you're a good fit for one another. Just think of all the time you're going to save by feeling him out so that you won't have to waste each other's time if you're just meant to wind up being friends. More importantly, it's only fair that you look out for yourself, too. There's no point in pursuing someone who might end up hurting you when the truth comes out. I think there's nothing wrong with being a little selfish in dating, after all. What's the point of being in a relationship if you're not going to gel on a fundamental level, right? In that case, you can take a different path towards another guy who's going to be worth your while instead. Here's an even more powerful way to read your guy. It's a program I've got called How to Read His Signals, which completely breaks down the male mind. If you want to read him like an open book, check it out at datingadviceguru.com/readhissignals. That's datingadviceguru/readhissignals. Go over to Dating Advice Guru right now and at least get on my email newsletter list. It's going to be the best thing you ever did. It's free advice weekly. You get great videos like this. You get great stuff that I don't even cover in the videos. Basically, all good things happen there. Go on over to datingadviceguru.com. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see a little form. Just pop your email in there. I promise I won't send you junk. I will send you only the best stuff I've got, the best advice, the best everything I can get you to make you a success in getting the man you want. I'll be talking to you again soon. This is Carlos Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com.